It takes time. Because
how long, Mr. President?
You want me to say 3 months, 5 months, 1 year?
No, you're quoting your Prime Cabinet Secretary who says 2 to 3 years.
Relax. Yeah. Because we are not in charge of all the factors that will finally determine where we are going, let us give ourselves time. Yes, we have. The price of food items is today lower than it was a year ago. It is a fact. Lakini, of course, it's not convenient for certain people to accept. That's number one. Number two, globally, where is Kenya? Uchumi wa numbers. And these are not my figures. We've brought down inflation from 9 point something to now 6.8. Those are figures, global figures of the World Bank. Number two, our economy is growing at 5.4%. Not my figures, World Bank figures, right? In fact, they quote Kenya is the 29th fastest growing economy globally. Those are figures out there. Of course, many people don't want to accept. I know that there is still no money in people's pockets. Uchumi wa mfuko
bado
ndio bado. Yeah?
Are
we doing something about it? Yes. That is why we're spending more money in education. Yeah? We're putting more money in education. In fact, this year, we are putting an extra 120 billion in education. To do what? To make sure that we reduce outlay by Kenyans to fund education. Number two, we are putting more money in health. That is why we've passed 4 laws. What do we want to do? We want to make sure every ordinary citizen has a health insurance. Those who are paying 500 will come down to 300. We are going to make sure that we don't leave nobody behind. That is why I am going out of my way to create jobs. Today, as I talk to you, because you need to put in people's pockets. Today, as I talk to you, 120,000 people are working in a housing program. Today, as I talk to you, we are working on export of labor, making sure that we connect Kenyans to jobs abroad. Today, as I talk to you, we are expanding the space of digital jobs. We just passed the law so that we can create ICT hubs across Kenya. I have already negotiated for digital jobs globally. Kenyans are very good at it. We are going to spread opportunities so that people can put money in their pockets. So that's why I'm saying we need a plan. You know, it is easy to say as from production, we will eventually get the right results better.
Mheshimiwa Rais, awali kulikuwa na mazingira mazuri pengine ya kufanyia biashara. Tunavyoona sasa, sijui kama palikoseka wapi, pengine unaweza kutueleza, manake kulikuwa na mazingira mazuri ya kufanya biashara. Kuna takwimu ambazo zimetolewa hata na FKE nadhani wakisema kwamba kuna makampuni ama kuna Wakenya takriban 70,000 ambao wameachishwa kazi. Katika serikali yako Mheshimiwa, palikoseka nini haswa pale mpaka mazingira ya kufanya kazi yakawa magumu kiasi cha kwamba 84% ya Wakenya wanasema kwamba maisha ni magumu, na hizi ni takwimu ambazo ziko zaidi ya 50 kwa mara ya kwanza katika Mkenya kusema kwamba maisha ni magumu na pesa haionekani.
Na tukisalia hapo Mr. President, because it's just based on what she said, are you aware that 87% of Kenyans, your people, Mr. President, that is 9 out of 10, have opted to reduce on personal expenditure because of the current economy? Watu wana opt kutokula, which is what we're talking about, uchumi ya tumbo. They are forgoing food because of the current situation.
Good. I want you to read a clip or even a text. It was in the Standard. 10 months after Kibaki became president, the same number of Kenyans said NAC and President Kibaki had made their life worse than ever because Kibaki decided to make the right decisions, not popular decisions, right? 10 months after he was president. We are in the same space. But let me tell you the following, that it is true. We are facing a difficult situation. We are facing a difficult situation because that is the global situation. But are we doing something about it? Yes, we're doing something about it. Is it bearing results? Yes, it's bearing results. The price of food is coming down because of our intervention, by God's grace. The global economy is appreciating what Kenya is doing. Let me go to FKE. FKE said 70,000 Kenyans have lost jobs or have gotten out of jobs. Part of those 70,000 Kenyans, for your information, are teachers who are working in private schools, who we have hired as government. Now they are teaching in, we have hired 56,000 teachers as teachers. We have hired an additional 120,000 people working in our housing program. We have a plan to make sure that we keep increasing. We have only 31 sites of our housing program. We have another 34 that will be rolled out the first quarter of next year. By the end of next year, we will have between 200 and 250,000 Kenyans working. So the economy is adjusting towards where we want to go. We do not want to be an export destination for others. We also want to produce what we should be producing. And that is why we are working on the difficult patch for now so that we can stabilize the future.
Kwa hivyo Mheshimiwa Rais, unakubali kwamba wa Kenya 70,000 kweli walifutwa kazi ama
sikubali, wao ndio wamesema. Mimi nimekuambia.
Na wakaandikwa na serikali. Kumaanisha ni makampuni yaliyo humu pengine yalifunga wakatoka ndo wakaja wakaandikwa na serikali, ama hawa walikuwa ni wa kutoka.
Waacha sasa nikwambie, wale wamesema, yale wamesema. What I have told you is what I can vouch. Have I hired 56,000 teachers? Yes. Are there 120,000 people working in our housing program? Yes. So as to what on FKE side, you need to verify the figures.
Mr. President, Sam, just 1 second. You have talked about pain and that Kenyans need to, appreciate the pain and the process like President Kibaki did. And State House and where you sit, you set the tone for whatever government agencies and officers below you do.
That's correct.
And you are asking Kenyans to be patient. You're asking Kenyans to tighten their belt. But if you look at your administration and State House, to be specific, and other officials, look at foreign travel has been up 26% just this ending quarter to 1.1 billion. And Kenyans are feeling quite taxed. And the hustlers that you represent are looking around the numbers that we are discussing today, and they're wondering, where have we missed this? Because on one end, you're asking Kenyans to be, to bear with government, to tighten their belts. The Treasury is saying things are bad. You're saying you're preventing us from, going off the cliff. But on the other end, the extravagance in government is really still heavy. How do you reconcile these two situations?
I will answer you this way. Go and look at the budget. We have cut by 50% the budget for travel and entertainment. 50%. Right? In the supplementary budget, just go and check the figures. That is about 11 billion shillings that we have reduced. Have I traveled more than the former presidents? Yes. And I have traveled not as a tourist. I have traveled to sort out the matters of Kenya. If I didn't package what I have packaged to salvage our country from going over the cliff, we'd be talking a different story. Would you rather I sit in Nairobi and see Kenya go down? Or would you rather I go to America, and America has really supported us in making sure that we structure a deal with World Bank and IMF. Would I travel to China to make sure that we structure the bilateral deal that will see all our roads come back? Would you rather I don't travel, or I travel to South Korea to sort out the problem you see in our electricity space? That we now have money to do what the investment we have not done in the last 10 years in our energy transmission. The reason why you find the blackouts, and is the challenge we have with our transmission infrastructure. And I have found resources to now sort that out. So would you rather I sit here or I look for the bilateral agreements that will give Kenyans an opportunity to work abroad and to work at home on digital jobs? This is what a president is supposed to do. And I can account for every shilling that I have spent on my travel. And let me say this. On the budget of State House, there were so many things around the State House, including the famous NMS. Part of the money that was being allocated to State House was to pay contracts, NMS contracts, and many other things, which I have said must stop. And because I want to lead the way in making sure that we manage what eventually is destroying our country, called pending bills. And for your information, we have 506 billion of pending bills. I need to lead the way. That's why I instructed staff in State House that State House must be the first one to clear pending bills. Most of the monies that have come here is to sort out NMS and all other people that were here. And I have said those infrastructure should be transferred to the parent ministries. Okay. State House must deal with State House matters.
Mr. President, we've spoken about 3 issues. We've spoken about the Kenya shilling and how it's behaving against the major currencies. We've spoken a bit of energy and what is happening in the field sector. We also touched on cost of living. We have so much to cover tonight, and I just seek your indulgence that we can be first in our responses, but also the questions. That question that you say we were on a cliff, debt cliff, and now we are no longer there. Recently, you posted on your X account, and you said that the World Bank is giving us 2 trillion shillings for the next 3 years.
We are replacing it with money we are paying 15-16%. And the killer on our debt is the interest, the amounts of interest we are paying. It's not even the principal that is a big problem. It is the amount of interest we are paying. Because if you are paying interest at 16, I think the euro went to 20% at some point, that is what is destroying our economy. So we are not necessarily increasing the debt portfolio. We are substituting debt that is expensive just so that it is manageable, and then it can give us the space to be able to grow our economy. That is the context. Mm-hmm. So what the international community have supported me to do is to replace the Eurobond, which is $2 billion. Yeah, $2 billion of very expensive money at 20%, with money that we can manage at 2-3%. That is the difference. And by just doing that, we will save on the 7 shillings we are paying for every 10 we collect to pay debt. That will significantly come down. So that is what that's what I am doing, because that is what is feasible as we talk. As I embark on growing the economy. And growing the economy is investing in the right place, making sure that our agricultural production is up to the scale. It is the reason why I am improving the whole agriculture chain. I'm building 400 markets. I promised Mama Mboga that they will do a business in a good place. Building 400 markets. I am building 47 county aggregation and industrial parks to add value, to add to process, so that we get more value from our production. And if you saw this, this is when is today? Sunday. If you saw last week, we just advertised for the infrastructure of our 6 special economic zones. Again, these will become engines of exports, because we have to grow our exports. We need to stem imports into Kenya, but we need to increase more exports so that we can get more revenue, grow jobs locally. And you see, my focus is to make sure that we expand the space of people who are working. And it is going to be deliberate. It's going to be difficult, but it must be deliberate. That is why housing is one plank where we're going to create jobs. Agriculture is another space. In the special economic zones and the exports and that space, we're going to grow jobs. The digital space, which I have negotiated with Facebook, I've negotiated with Meta, for us to have digital jobs in Kenya. You already know that the number of people who are working in the digital space, and we are going to export more labor. As I talk to you here, there are people being trained in NYS today for people who are on the space of export of labor, because we have to have interventions. We have to have. I mean, it is different. They are nurses. There are adverts that the Ministry of Labor goes out to look for them.
Mheshimiwa Rais, kuhusiana na ada ya nyumba umeitaja, unafahamu kwamba kuna Wakenya wengi bado hawajaridhia, licha ya kwamba kuna agizo kutoka mahakamani, na nakumbuka juzi ukiwa kwenye mkutano wa diaspora pia ulisisitiza ukasema kwamba housing levy lazima itekelezwe na kadhalika. Hebu tuelezee, kuna mabadiliko yoyote baada ya mahakama kutoa agizo lake na wewe kuendelea kusukuma kwamba ni sharti Mkenya atozwe hii ada ya nyumba?
Mahakama walisema hivi. Mahakama walisema hii ada ni sawa kama Wakenya wote watalipa. Right? That's what they said. They said it should not be discriminatory.
Mr. President, they didn't say that.
Kuna mkakati
they said it is as it is discriminatory. And therefore unconstitutional.
No,
you interpret it.
The problem of unconstitutional was made by the media.
No, they said it's null and void.
So if it is unconstitutional, why did the court say we should continue to collect?
Because there's an application for stay orders.
How do we continue? No, how do we continue to do unconstitutionality?
No, Mr. President, at least you can agree on what the court said.
Yes.
And the court said that we've looked at everything and we arrive at the decision that this is discriminatory. Because of that, it doesn't agree with the constitutional Article 10 on governance. And therefore it is null and void.
No.
Kingine ambacho labda Mheshimiwa Rais nikuongezee, ilisema mahakama. Mahakama pia ilisema kwamba hakuna mkakati maalum kupitia KRA jinsi fedha hizi zitakusanywa.
Absolutely. Now that is what they told us to fix. And that is why we now have a law in Parliament. What the court said there are institutions that are not paying. There are groups that are not paying, that are not paying in the current setup. And we have said we are expanding the net of the payers. It will give us actually more money so that we can do more houses, which is a very positive thing that the court has done. And they have said, establish a mechanism how this money will be used. We have put a mechanism in law how it's going to be used. Let me tell you, good people, we can argue about this or that or the other. My question is, do we have a problem of housing in Kenya? Yes. Do we have a problem of jobs in Kenya? Yes. Can we sort out? Because, it is one thing to argue, even if you are a judge. And I am sure that is what went through their minds. Because the judges are also Kenyans. They know we have millions of young people out there who are jobless. A story was carried, for example, in one of the media houses here. I think I saw it on KTN, saying the crime rate in Ruiru has gone down because there are many people working in the housing program in Ruiru. I did not make the story. It was in KTN. And that is the truth. So, even as you sit as a judge, even as you ask me a question as a journalist, we are discussing housing. Housing is an opportunity to do three major things. Number one, to create jobs. Is it a good thing for us to create jobs? These are not the children of William Ruto. These are the children of all Kenyans that will work. They will work as architects, they will work as engineers, they will work as carpenters, they will work as masons, they will work in whatever field. Some of them will be working in factories that are creating steel. Some of them will work in factories that are making for us cement to do the houses. Is it a good job? Is it a good thing? Do we have a problem of unemployment in Kenya? Yes. We need to sort it out. It has to be sorted out somehow. Number two, do we have a problem of industrialization? Do we have a problem of manufacturing? Yes. How do we create more manufacturing jobs, if not through programs like housing? How do we reduce the problem of land fragmentation, where land that is supposed to be used for agricultural productivity is now being subdivided for people to live? If we provide alternative housing, we will save the land that is going to settlement. We will use it to produce food so that we stop the slide into food insecurity, and we begin to tame the problem of high prices of food.
Mr. President,
these are obvious, and that is why I am very confident that the court will look at it, look at what is the public interest, what is the public good that comes with housing. Let me ask finally, to own a house in Kenya today, you need to have 4 million, 5 million, the simplest, the cheapest house. We are giving an opportunity through this affordable housing program for a mamamboga or a boda guy to buy a house of 400,000 where they can pay 4,000 shillings a month and eventually own a house. I mean, we are giving dignity to every Kenyan. And let me tell you, finally, housing was a program that was in the UDA manifesto, the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, 1.5%. It was in Azimio manifesto, 1.5%. Yeah, and we all know that it is the right thing to do because other countries have done it and they have made a big difference. We have had this housing thing for as long as I have been a politician, but nobody has had the courage to implement it. Nobody has had the plan to do it.
Have you stopped to wonder or ask what the people think, what their sentiments are about this? Because times are tough, Mr. President.
Put in mind, 70% are saying no to this program.
Yeah. Just wait. I want you to go to where these Kenyans are working. Go and ask them. Go and ask them. The beneficiaries, the people who are working today, they are not even the owners. They are just working. Go and ask them. And you see, this is the beginning of a program. Give it time. Kenyans will come to appreciate that, yes, my son is working, my daughter is working. If they are not working at the construction site, they are an architect, or they work in some company, they are an accountant in some company that is doing cement and construction products. And let me ask you, countries like Singapore, like Malaysia, like Korea. We all have been talking about them. We've been saying, oh, you know, we were at the same level with Korea, but today they are different from us. They make tough decisions. That's why they are where they are. We have to make tough decisions if we have to catch up. I mean, if we want to continue to make convenient, you know, politically correct decisions, we will continue to remain in the same place. And I know, for example, that it is politically expensive. You know, I would be a very popular person if I abolished tomorrow. I said, okay, let's forget about the housing thing. People will clap for me.
Mr. President, I don't think there's anyone saying that you should stop it.
I don't want to be.
And Mr. President, if you remember, Mr. President,
I want to transform Kenya.
Yes, if you remember,
transforming Kenya is not a walk in the park. Transforming Kenya is not going to be done using convenient, politically correct, popular decisions. Some of the decisions may be difficult now, but we will all see the benefits as we go.
No doubt about that, Mr. President.
It is the wrong time. We've had housing as a plan for the last 50 years. Are you telling me for the last 50 years there was no correct time? It is never too late. It is never wrong to do the right thing.
Mr. President, just let's stay to the housing fund. Because when it started and you were walking around the country and selling this dream to many Kenyans, you told us this was a fund and we will contribute. And if you didn't want the house or didn't benefit, at the end of the day, you would get your money out at some point. Then overnight, in Parliament, it turned into a levy and a tax. What really changed and what caused you to move from a fund, which was really, really contributory, to this discriminatory fund that even the court has found to be? And does this mean that this plan changed overnight, or what really happened to cause you to make these changes? And just to stay on that point, was it necessary that we would start all these funds together in terms of, was it a must that you start the housing fund? You are here fighting the fire of housing. Again, you start the health crisis. Before this is done, even it's off, you are dealing with the taxation, And because of that, nearly every government agency is now waking up with taxes. So you find, levies going up by 3,900%. You find even pets now they're going to be taxed. And Kenyans are wondering, what has happened? Do you feel that you're out of touch with the people that you lead? Because then it will explain some of the decisions that you're doing.
Thank you very much for asking that question. Let's start with the levy. I proposed a fund. Yeah? There is a principle in Kenya today called public participation. It went to public participation. And Parliament, when coming from public participation, came and said it should instead be a levy. Right? And as president, if the people said they wanted this changed into a different way of doing it, I agreed that, okay, let's go this way. But what did I do to make sure that it captures everybody? We changed the design of the whole delivery of the housing so that now we have social housing for the people at the bottom of the pyramid. We'll pay 4,000 or 5,000 shillings and get a house. We have affordable housing for people in the middle who will pay between 5,000 and 15,000 every month. But we have also included 30% of all the units to include the people who largely are the contributors. The people who are the biggest contributors, the people in the middle class, who will pay now between 15,000 and 30,000. So we have made everybody a beneficiary, in the chain, again, to mitigate against what you're saying. And what have we done? Mortgage today is around 17%. What we have done is that we have now reduced the mortgage. We are using the fund to mitigate the mortgage that you pay. And it is now gazetted that the people who will buy social houses, their mortgage will be at 3%. The people who will buy affordable houses, their mortgage will be at 6%. And the people who will be buying the market houses, we will reduce their mortgage by half. Even you, instead of paying 18%, you will now have an opportunity to pay